The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video.
Come on, boys, get loud. 'Cause when the music starts bumping, the whole place will be jumping. It's my scene, you know what I'm.
Hey y'all, so sometimes I have those videos where it's kind of hard for me to figure out the words to outline them, because for those of you guys who don't know, people on my Patreon know this, that usually when I have my videos where you guys see me reading off like my phone or my tablet or like my laptop, I usually like do like research and all of that stuff, or just kind of write my thoughts out together and put them on like a Google document and go through like bullet point by bullet point. But then there are some times where I have moments where I feel like it's just best for me to just get on camera and just talk, like how YouTube back in the day used to be, where people just literally turned on the camera and talked about what came to their mind. So I know some of y'all don't like videos like this, but this is the vibes that we're going for today. If you guys watch my Naomi Campbell Swan video and you wanted to know what color the dress was fucking green. Yeah, I actually bought this back in 2020 and I just never wore it. So I was like, well, I'm making a video. I kind of want to look a little fancier today. Yeah, so I put this pretty green dress on. I need to get some pictures in it because I really do like this dress. I'm not even gonna lie. But I know y'all came on here to hear my thoughts about why I feel like animation doesn't care about black women. So first of all, before anybody try to fact check me, I am fully aware that there are tons of black women and black feminine presenting people in black films that work in the entertainment industry, specifically the animation section of it. I am fully aware of that. I follow a ton of them. I'm mutuals with a few. Okay, like Harriana Hook is very much supportive of black women in films that work in animation. I am aware that so many of them are working here, but there still needs to be more because the numbers are still very much outstandishly low when it comes to how many women of color and MBs of color are working in the animation subsection of the film and entertainment industry. But the reason why I say that animation just kind of ignores black women for the most part is because I can't really put my finger on much of anything about shows that have black female leads. Before anybody try to sit here and say something about that, I mean black adult female leads. Like, yes, I know somebody gonna be like, you had the Proud Family. Somebody gonna say y'all have Moon Girl, and I'm like, yes, well, I'm very much appreciative of those shows, and pretty much shows that are about black girls and girls of color in general. Those are about girls. I'm talking about a show where a black woman is the lead and it's animated. So I do have a list up on my tablet of some shows that I did want to talk about, some shows and some movies that I did want to talk about that were animated, and I just want to give my thoughts and opinions on them because this is just kind of like a demographic I feel is very much ignored. And mind you, animation ignores a lot of demographics. I don't even know where to begin when it comes to people that are very ignored within this medium. But today we are talking about one of those groups, and that being black women. So before any of y'all try to get on y'all comments talking about, you talking about black women are ignored, this and that and the third are ignored too. Yes, I am fully aware of that. And those can get like their own separate video. But like I said, I am a black woman and I specifically just want to talk about an issue that I noticed that is affecting black women and feminine presenting people. this is just something that I've just been thinking about for a while, and that's part of the reason why I just kind of been so more keen towards comic books lately, because it's so much easier for me to find a comic book graphic novel, whatever the fuck y'all want to call it. It's so much easier for me to find a comic book that is about black women versus an animated show that is about black women, or unless it's like indie or whatnot. And still, in a lot of these indie productions, a lot of these shows aren't really about black women or women of color or women that are half black. Like, it's just a little frustrating. So there is one show that I want to talk about, because this show right here is called Hey Money, and it is literally like the only, I'm not saying it's the only one, because I know somebody may say Tuka and Birdie. First of all, Tuka and Birdie are birds, so low-key doesn't count to a certain extent, but anyway. But also, I noticed, because you know Tuka and Birdie, I'm pretty sure it is a spinoff of BoJack Horseman, and I watched BoJack Horseman, and there was one specific character in there that really did catch my eye, and I forgot her name so bad, because mind you, it's been a minute since I watched BoJack Horseman, but I know specifically that this character was played by Issa Rae. Let me check, don't, because y'all not about to drag me if I get this wrong. Yes, it was Issa Rae, and it was great to see a black woman on that series. And mind you, that BoJack Horseman is a show that I say that featured quite a lot of women of color, but mind you that they were not the main characters of these series. And then we can even think about the Cleveland show, and mind you, the Cleveland show feels so fucking white. I was never a fan of that series, and there were black women in that series, but you know, the show mainly focuses on Cleveland Brown, a man. And then also, I know somebody's gonna say the Boondocks, but let me just tell you that the Boondocks is a series that treats black women like ass. They were very much in the background, just sprinkled. They were just video vixens, or they had people talking out of their ass to them. So y'all get where I'm coming from, y'all get where I'm going. So here we have Hey Money, and Hey Money is basically a series about just two black friends that are women and their struggles and what they go through. And mind you, I am, y'all don't, okay, because I know somebody gonna be like, you should appreciate this. Mind you, Hey Money was not for me, and that is why we need to have more than one show to pick from when it comes to shows about black women. I don't know, it just wasn't my taste. It's just like, it felt like scenes were going on longer than they should have. I was kind of getting annoyed. I didn't find a lot of the humor to be funny. Hey Money overall is not for me, but I feel like some of y'all out there, my audience, will like that. So please, if you are interested in things like Hey Money, it was just, I couldn't vibe with it overall. I don't necessarily have much to say about it, because I wasn't able to get through much of it simply because I just wasn't really vibing with it all that much. But I'm not gonna sit here and shit on Hey Money, because it basically is like one of the things that contributes to black women's history. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on it completely, and I'm not even really shitting on it at all. It's just, it wasn't for me. But there was a lot of talent that went into this series, like behind the scenes, and the women that were like the voice actors, they do a lot of stuff. So I throw Hey Money into like the category of like obscure black entertainment. Yeah. I know Black Femininity TV made a great video talking about the subject of Hey Money, so I will link that down below if you guys are interested on what she had to say over there. But that's just how I feel about Hey Money. And moving over, I'm thinking about another show, animated, that features like a black female lead, and that would have to be Michiko and Hachin. Michiko Melandro is a black woman. For those of you who be trying to fucking say that Michiko is not black, she is. Literally, her appearance is based off Aaliyah. And while I desperately appreciate Michiko and Hachin, I love it. It's literally one of my favorite animes of all time, like in my top 10. I'm gonna be completely transparent and be like, this show, you can tell that a lot of black people weren't really behind the scenes of this. It's just kind of like they love the aesthetic of blackness, but didn't necessarily want to take it to consideration. Like, hey, you may not want to do this. Hey, that's not necessarily a great deal. Michiko and Hachin looks amazing. It has a great story, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like that there aren't issues with race here, because it's very much present. And it's where like so much of the story kind of fell flat for me. I feel like black women really should have contributed to making Michiko and Hachin, but then again, this was Japan, so I'm just like, no, because there be black people that go out there all the time. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that there's a lot of people that black people that are really into like Japanese culture, but it's just really sad because it's a great story, but it's like certain moments within it, I'm just like, ooh, it's so obvious that a black woman didn't do this. And mind you, part of the reason why Michiko Hachin is as great as it is because it was created by women of color. But just because somebody has the label of woman of color does not mean that they are a black woman. Some people tend to think that that means the same thing. All black women are women of color, but not all women of color are black. So those are just kind of like my little thoughts and opinions that I have about Michiko and Hachin. It's something that I do recommend watching, but if you are not in a good headspace, I don't recommend it whatsoever. Michiko and Hachin is one of those series that you always see clips and gifs and like photo sets and fan cams from, but like I think it actually is worth watching. But there are so many freaking issues with the subject of misogynoir within this series, and it's just something that we just kind of need to stop dancing over and talk about. The Mighty Z on Instagram was speaking about the problems with Michiko and Hachin, so if I can find the post, I would have that link down below. So moving forward, I'd say 20-something. 20-something, I always will sit here and praise 20-something because I could say that this was one of the few times that I could see like my adult self within like Western animation. But 20-something basically is about a woman named Gia at her 21st birthday, and she goes to the club for the first time, and she's literally like freaking out because she just feels so out of place. She's like, I'm grown, I can be here, but I don't feel grown. Like things don't feel right. I'm just scared. She didn't know what was going on. She was just really freaking nervous. And mind you that I love 20-something. It looks beautiful. It's black as hell. And there is just a section of it where you know how people are like kind of confused as to why people are nervous about certain things. I feel like part of the reason why people were kind of confused with that subject of 20-something and why she was so nervous is because I don't feel like she was necessarily nervous about going to the club for the first time. But mind you, I'd be scared to go to places like that too, so I get it. But I feel like it's because she was just nervous about getting older, and that is something that a lot of people deal with on their birthdays. They just feel super duper anxious and nervous on that day because they're getting older, things are changing and whatnot. And 20-something is just, she doesn't feel necessarily as confident as she wants to. And then it's funny because we look at the past stages of what Gia looked like when she was younger, and it's so funny because one thing a lot of people were talking about is that, well, one thing a lot of people didn't know, that I had a golf phase. I really did. When I was 10 and 11 years old, I had the golf phase, but I wasn't able to be golf because I wore uniforms to school. Gia had a golf phase when she was about 16. I'll say alt, I think, is a little bit more of the correct term, but that was something that so many black people really enjoyed and they really related to. But as amazing as 20-something is, this shit is only 7 minutes long. It's literally only 7 minutes long. It's a short film. It's a short film. It's a beautiful short film. It's an amazing short film, but it's a short film. We just have 7 minutes of it, and like that's it. It's beautiful, well made, support Afton Corbin. I really would love to see a full movie from her, but knowing how a lot of Disney films are, usually half the time if their movies be taking place, like the main character is an adult, they'd be like an inanimate object or animal or something. That's why I was like, Frozen is low-key progressive, because Frozen 2 was actually about adult women. I really do hope that if Afton Corbin is able to make her own feature-length film down the line, I really would be happy and appreciative if it is about a black woman. Please, I would desperately appreciate that. But you know, this is her choice. That is up to her if she wants to do that. We're not going to force people to make things that they don't want to do. But that is something that I would love. I would very much enjoy to see more of her work. She got a fan from 20 something, and it's me. If 20 something has one fan, it's me. If 20 something has 0 fans, that means I am dead. Okay? I love 20 something. That is something that I really do recommend that y'all go and watch. It's on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, go check it out. So the last point I really want to talk about when it comes to shows is Moon Girl. Like, mind you, Moon Girl is a series that focuses on Lanella Lafayette. Literally, it's in the title, Moon Girl. The show's main focus is on her, but I do want to make a note about how there are black women in that writer's room, and you absolutely can tell, but mainly it's because you can tell with the way Adria, Lunella's mother, and Mimi, who is Lunella's grandma, are written. But I personally like the writing more for Mimi's character than Adria, because I feel like we spend a little bit more time with Mimi. Mimi, I love her. Mainly because even though Mimi is most likely like 50, 60 years old, she old enough to be my mama, I'll tell you that. She old enough to be my grandma, I'll tell you that. I adore her. I love what this series has done with her. But specifically, I think I wrote it down before I was like frustrating. Moon Girl may be the only thing we have at the moment when it comes to animation for black women, like that's currently on, because of the way this series handles Mimi's character. I don't want to sit here, because a lot of people, I'm not going to sit here and act like the Proud Family is perfect. I'm not. I appreciate what the Proud Family has done for blackness in animation, but just because we can appreciate the black history behind it does not exempt it from the flaws that it has. I personally I wasn't really feeling Trudy as I was with Mimi over here in Moon Girl. And part of that reason has to be with the fact that I feel like the series doesn't necessarily give you enough time to understand Trudy for the most part. But sometimes Trudy does things that are just questionable, and then Trudy is also very frustrating at times. But for the most part, I feel like this show doesn't necessarily give us time to learn who Trudy is as a person. But mind you, the show isn't about Trudy. The show isn't about the adults in the series. The Proud Family focuses on Penny Proud and her friend group. So I'm not really about to drag the Proud Family for not doing too much when it comes to Trudy's character. Because really the only thing we see with Trudy, we just kind of just see her being a mom. And that's it. We just kind of see her being a mom, and we see her being a wife. We don't actually get to see Trudy just being sometimes. Like, sometimes we do see that with Sunset and like the other people that she be around. But for the most part, it's just kind of sad, because I'm just like, yeah, I feel like when it comes to black women in animation, oftentimes they're just limited to being like a mom character. Like, that's it. They're just limited to being a mom or somebody's wife. And it's frustrating, because this is part of the reason why I really loved Penny from Miraculous Ladybug, despite the horrible fucking flaws that go into her character. There is going to be an entire section of my new book that I have coming out soon. Me and my friend, we made a collab book. And there's an entire section where I just talk about where Miraculous went wrong with Penny. And I have spoken about my feelings with how Miraculous portrays Penny in the past. But I was like, seeing a character like Penny is very much revolutionary when it comes to Western animation, is because we don't necessarily see a lot of black female characters like her. Like, we absolutely don't. You have a woman that is fairly young. Mind you, Miraculous Ladybug is not good with establishing ages with their adult characters. She's a music manager. She is girl boss, like single. Not for the most part up until later. I'm telling you, this show done fucked up Penny so bad. But it was very nice to see this type of character here, because this is something that we weren't necessarily seeing much of. But she is so fucking poorly written and is heavily stereotyped, and they pull from harmful black tropes to write her. It pisses me off, and it makes me so fucking upset. That's why I said Miraculous Ladybug is very weird when it comes to blackness, but I don't want to sit here and talk about that show no more, because I want to sit here and talk more about Mimi. For those of you who, if you ain't seen Moon Girl season 1 at this point, that's on you. But Mimi's character, I have numerous favorite characters when it comes to Moon Girl. Like, I'm Casey Caldron Stan. I am CEO of Casey. That is my client right there. That is my niece. Y'all are not gonna bother her at all, okay? Casey slander can get out the door. But Mimi is also like a really big favorite of mine, because when we get to learn more about Mimi, more as like a person, I kid you not. Like, we see Mimi there as always like Lunella's like motherly figure. Like, she's her grandmother, but we always see her being very motherly to her and whatnot. And it honestly made me kind of sad because I miss my grandma so much. I really do. I really do miss my grandma. But seeing like scenes where we get to learn more about Mimi before she, you know, got married, had a kid, Lunella was brought in, basically starting a family. We get to learn more about her as a person and her love for science, black women in STEM. We adore that. And then also her partner that she was working with. We get to see that the care they have for one another. And I kid you not, Moon Girl felt like an adult animated series with this section right here, and I was eating it up. I was like, okay, I would like to know more about what happened back here in the 70s with this too. I was eating this down because it makes no fucking sense how well written it was. Like, I told you that Disney Channel is low-key starting to light up on being childish, but this arc with Mimi was well done. Bravo. No notes on it. No notes whatsoever. But I sit here and I think, why was this arc with Mimi so well done? And you guys want to know something that I kind of like brainstorm, kind of concluded? I used my little scientific method when I was like, why was this so good? And mind you, like I said, there were black women behind the scenes writing for this series. Maybe they're set the fuck up with not really having any shows where they're the lead. That may be it. That's probably why her arc was so well done. And I feel like with Mimi's arc being so good here in Moon Girl, and I honestly cannot wait to see what comes more from Moon Girl. And I really have my fingers crossed that we do get to see more scenes in the 70s with her working as a scientist and all of that, before she got married, before she had a son and all that, because that is something that we don't really see much of when it comes to Western animation. It's just frustrating. It's just really frustrating. When I say that animation doesn't care about black women or ignores black women, it's not true to a certain extent, but also we have to sit here and think, while there are a lot of black women that are working behind the scenes of animation, and I'm talking about everything like voice acting, lining, no, hold on, let me get my terms together. Y'all, okay, it's late, but y'all know what I mean, okay? Editing, storyboarding, all of that good stuff, writing. We are starting to see more black women within those positions, but also a lot of these black women are working on shows that aren't necessarily about black women or black people for the most part, because I am aware that there is a black female writer on KIF, and I literally freaked the fuck out because KIF is one of my summer favorites. I am going to make a blog post on my website talking about all of Harriana's summer favorites, because KIF is going in the TV show file, and I was so happy to find out that there was a black woman in that writer's room for that series. But mind you, KIF is a show about animals. KIF is not really about people. And in a lot of these other series that we see that there are black people working on them, they aren't really about, you know, black women, or black women are just kind of pushed towards the back in those series and whatever. And I see that there are starting to become more changes when it comes to the subject of adult animation, and we are starting to see more range with what they do over there. But also at the same time, it's just scary because animation is in shambles right now. Kevin at the Round Table made an amazing video talking about how animation is basically in fucking shambles, and it's scary to see where things are gonna go at the moment, especially with this strike, especially with just everything going on. people are finally speaking up about how brutal the animation industry is. And I do have one thing to say about that, because I know somebody asked gonna try to get in here and defend that. Why is it that we need to be putting up with being treated bad at work? Like, what is that? Where y'all be like, you can't handle it, get out the kitchen. No, why don't y'all actually treat your workers fucking better? Like, why don't we do that? Why don't we get paid better accordingly? Like, y'all get on my nerves trying to justify workplace mistreatment. Like, y'all actually get on my fucking nerves with that, because I can name so many times where I have had horrible experiences working in the professional film industry. I have so many fucking stories about being treated bad on set. But yeah, that is all I want to say. And mind you, since I'm talking about Moon Girl, I'm gonna show you guys, because I'm not sure if some of you guys know about this, but I have Moon Girl bonnets on my shop at harryonahook.com, and they're currently out of stock. Y'all bought them all. As soon as I put them shits on their website, they was gone the next day. So I will get these restocked as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for that. But these are just like some thoughts and opinions that I wanted to get out. I am pretty satisfied with the way this talk went. I was like, just get on camera and just talk. I've been missing making videos like this. It's been a really rough summer, but I did have like the motivation to get stuff done today. And yeah, putting on a pretty dress honestly gives you that motivation. Okay, I really am feeling the way I'm looking right now. But thank you guys so much for watching. Ways to support me, all of that will be linked down below. My shop is down, linked down below. I will keep y'all updated on when the new book comes out and all of that jazz. I'm mainly just kind of like preparing my store for like Black Friday, mainly because I understand like we're in a recession right now, and I want to be like, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm being insensitive, like advertising my shop and whatnot, but I know a lot of people usually wait until Black Friday season when it comes to like shopping from like a lot of small businesses and whatnot. So I think it's best for me to save like a big bulk of the products that I have coming soon to come out that weekend. So yeah, super duper excited for that. All my cosplay stuff and all that is on my Instagram. I am gonna update my blog. There should be a new volume of Style Queen coming soon. I am trying to make sure I make it a priority to update that shit more, because I need to. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you understood what I was talking about here, because this is something that I truly am passionate about. Animation, especially when it comes to diversity in animation. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day, night, or whatever time of the day you're watching. Goodbye.